Busy Reaction Monday here on Three Man Frontlands from Pat Conrad and Molly. We just heard Alex Golish, 33rd Auburn coach in their football program's history, introductory press conference there. Some of the notable quotes from Alex Golish. He said, quote, "What you're going to get from me, our staff, is the hardest working, toughest, grittiest program in the entire country." Also says that the program's standards and culture are led by only the coaches. The program will max out. He said that eventually, when it's a player-driven program, that is when Auburn fans can get excited. And he kind of laid that out when he talked to the team, if you saw that on social media and some of the videos that leaked from yesterday. Coach that knows all about this kind of stuff, whether it's play on the field or some of these conversations and transactions off the field. It's Coach Bill Clark, and he's presented by our friends at Donahue Chevrolet.
Coach Bill Clark on Three Man Front is brought to you by Donahue Chevrolet. Learn more at DonahueChevrolet.com. And now, Coach Bill Clark.
And Coach Clark joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Happy Monday, Coach. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing well. I want to get your thoughts first and foremost about Alex Golish, what you know about him as the coach, and your thoughts on the fit at Auburn.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about him other than kind of just the philosophy offensively, and I've spoken often on my show and even with you guys about just, the Art Briles theory of coaching, the vertical passing game, the spread out, the horizontal splits and how all that came about. So obviously I've always thought a lot about that, thought a lot of Art's system. And I think, that's kind of what the tree he comes from. So that part I know, obviously, what he's done recently with South Florida. If you just look the breadth of his coaching, may not be as impressive as what he's done recently, but what he's done recently has been impressive.
Talk about impressive. How about the American Conference? Having four coaches from four of the top programs in the conference going on to the Power Four. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I think when you look at guys that have had to work their way up, we talk about that a lot when we talk about coaches that have, and especially guys that have been head coaches, they've worked their way up. They've had to fight it out. They've had to do more with less. And I think those are a lot of the guys, and obviously that's my background. So I think those guys have got a chance to be very successful.
Coach, your thoughts on what we saw on the field inside of Jordan-Hare. It was not the prettiest of games. There were mistakes to be had by both teams, penalties, but your thoughts of not only what Alabama was able to do in getting the win, but how they played and how that potentially sets up for this weekend's rematch with Georgia.
I think we called it. We said it was going to be a hard-fought game. Obviously, early on, you thought maybe Alabama would run away with it, but knowing the history of the game and how important it was going to be to the Auburn players, I think give them tons of credit for not laying down when maybe that's what it looked like. Good back and forth, obviously turnovers, as we say, the number one stat in football is the turnover margin. And, that's what ended up costing Auburn at the end. But, you always go to the team that finds a way to win no matter the situation. Obviously, we know how hard a place that is for opponents to play in Auburn, specifically in that game. So you got to give Alabama credit for finding a way. And, here they are in the championship game again.
How difficult is it to beat an opponent twice in a season?
It's very difficult. I think and that's the part about the emotional part of I've got something to play for, I've got something to prove, versus the little bit of relaxation that happens sometimes when you beat that opponent. And I think there's just so much of that goes into the game of football, as we know, and that's why it's so hard to beat somebody twice.
Is there that team that you potentially seen like we got with Ohio State last year? They weren't turning a whole lot of heads. They lost the rivalry game with Michigan. Then all of a sudden, they get a few weeks, they play Tennessee, and it is Katie bar the door on their way to a national championship. Is it maybe that same Ohio State team this year, or is there another team that's caught your eye that you think potentially has that high of a ceiling?
Well, I think, we still got some question marks about who those guys have played week in, week out. I think there's no doubt, based on the money they spent in NIL, you've got Ryan Day has been being a really good coach, and that staff. So, they've proven that they've got the ceiling because of the type of people they have in the program, even though they're not playing the week in, week out schedule that all the SEC teams are playing. Georgia, now granted, I think Georgia Tech's got a really good team, and that's once again that rival game. But I would have said they were one of the hottest teams around. They're really peaking at the right time. We'll see what that Georgia Tech game means by how they play Alabama this week. But I would have said Georgia.
In regards to the college football playoff, Coach, we've been kind of debating it earlier in the program in regards to Alabama, what they need to do. I know you're not in the room, but I'm just giving a coach's perspective on the ball that you've seen this year. Do you believe that Alabama is worthy of being in the CFP right now without whatever the results may be on Saturday, or do you think that they need a win against Georgia to kind of cement that idea of them being in the CFP?
Obviously a win would not hurt them. We've gone on record saying I think this game should not count against you, but it's going to count. And so I think just how they play, I don't, what does a loss do to them? Obviously they don't want to lose it, but and a win would definitely help just as far as the look of things. But that shouldn't be the case. But playing well, win or lose, I think that is going to be important.
What's the biggest question mark that you have for either Alabama or Georgia heading into this weekend?
It's how well are you? And I think and probably by the time we have our show or my show later, we'll get to look at those depth charts and see, who got banged up toward the end, like Alabama missing their tight end, does he come back this week? So who got banged up in those big rivalry games that might get held out that we don't even know about yet? Because this is the time you want to be playing well. And that was the question I know, that came up. Would you even want to be in this game? Of course you want to play for a championship, but if we're just talking about playing for a national championship, who's well, what does that look like as we go into this game?
I know I've already asked you about how difficult it is playing an opponent or beating an opponent twice, but I am curious, when you're playing a team for the second time as a coach, do you go back and you look at the previous film and you try to pick out, okay, these are the areas that we had success, but then wouldn't the other team take the areas where they did not play up to par? Let's say Kirby's defense in the first half. I know they made adjustments, but now it's kind of the back and forth and kind of like psychological warfare, trying to figure out, like, what do? Do you go back to the same game plan? Do you tweak it? Do you throw it out and throw them a curveball? Like, how do you go about it as a coach to come up with that game plan?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's so many times when you win a game, you put that behind you. You might have a play, let's say it was a certain route they were giving you defensively or a look, offensively they gave you that hurts you. You might look at that, but you don't.
We're going to
put the change.
Oh, go ahead, Coach. I'm sorry, you broke up there for a second. Yeah, try to go through that one more time for us.
Yeah. When I win a game, I don't focus on that game. I've already moved past it. But when I lose that game, it really sticks with me. And so you just really think about it. So a lot of times, when you win the game, you'll stick with the same plan or close to it. Maybe when you lose, you're going to come out with totally new ideas. You've really thought about it a lot. So I think you see different thoughts versus a win versus a loss, which, would just make sense.
Coach, I want to get your unfiltered, just straight from the heart reaction and thoughts about what transpired in Oxford, Mississippi surrounding Lane Kiffin all the way through yesterday.
It's sickening. The choice he made as much as just how it went down for those players and the staff. And, I've had people ask me, well, what would you do? And I always try to come at it from a coach's perspective of, you're trying to protect your family. What are the things that maybe people don't know about behind the scenes? But just how it's gone down and it's taken so long, and there they've had this great year. I hate it for those players that, even though this is a different time now, they are mobile, they're leaving, they're one-year contracts. This is not so much about him leaving as it is just how it went down. And it's a shame, after the great year they've had.
Well, if you're going to leave, if you don't have a plane, you certainly need one of those beautiful Chevrolets from our friends at Donahue Chevrolet right there in Fort Payne. May make it easy, Coach, and they've been making it easy on you and your family for many, many years.
Yeah, I had a great relationship with Donahue for years. Obviously, they took care of us at the whole time we were at UAB, and me and my family have went and bought car, specifically the Tahoe. We've loved it, and I know they got a lot of great truck deals going on right now.
All right. Yep. You can always go to DonahueChevrolet.com and the ridiculous deals. We talk about the special savings on the limited stock of those big, heavy-duty Silverados. Coach, we always appreciate the time. Thank you. We'll see you this week for the Coach Bill Clark Show, which people can hear right here on Jocks on Thursdays at 6 o'clock, or you can find it there online.
Yeah, look forward to it. Y'all have a great day.
You as well. Coach Bill Clark, once again, presented by Donahue Chevrolet, DonahueChevrolet.com for more information.
We will continue on this Reaction Monday. Give us your thoughts on what you heard from Alex Golish. Also, we'll kind of give you an update of what's going on the coaching carousel as Kentucky, who let Mark Stoops go earlier today. They've already interviewed 2 candidates. We'll tell you who those candidates are next. So the University of Kentucky said goodbye to Mark Stoops. I do find it interesting. He had a $38 million buyout.
He wasn't leaving.
Well,
voluntarily.
They went to him, and he negotiated a lower sum buyout because he did not want to put Kentucky in a bad situation. He was the longest tenured coach in the Southeastern Conference. He's the winningest coach in the history of Kentucky football, more than Bear Bryant, when Bryant was at Kentucky.
Trying to go back to his comments in Atlanta at SEC Media Days, but I don't remember exactly what it was, but I can remember reacting going, yeah, this has got to be it for Mark Stoops.
I knew that he was jumping the shark, so to speak, a couple years ago when he got into a back and forth with Shane Beamer.
Yeah.
I mean, like, really? Of all people? Like you and Shane Beamer?
Then the story that got published before, not this season, but last season, about him having to go around and to ask for money and be the fundraiser and have uncomfortable conversations instead of concentrating on football. Yep. It's made things more difficult.
So he has negotiated a lower buyout. It's going to be paid originally, get this. The original buyout was $38 million, and Kentucky had to pay it within 60 days. So to his credit and to his representation's credit, they said, look, we do not want to put Kentucky in a bad situation. So here's what we're going to do. Let's negotiate this. And we're going to spread this out over number of years to give them some alleviation, okay? Well, Kentucky has been busy, hard at it today. Two major candidates have already spoken with Kentucky, one being Will Stein, who is the offensive coordinator of the Oregon Ducks. The other is Brian Hartline, who is the offensive coordinator, wide receivers coach at Ohio State. Both have talked to Kentucky today. Will Stein appears to be the favorite and maybe even the choice, but there is a 3-person committee that is choosing the head coach at Kentucky. So it's not the athletics director like John Cohen did at Auburn. It's a 3-person committee that will be picking the coach at the University of Kentucky. So Hartline and Stein, as of right now, are the leaders. Also, Michigan State, they fired Jonathan Smith. Man, remember when Jonathan Smith was the hot name?
Yeah.
When he was at Oregon State? Well, 2 years after being in East Lansing, they have shown him the door. He went 9-15 in the overall and dead last in the Big Ten almost. So now they are looking at Pat Fitzgerald, the former Northwestern head coach. Fitzgerald went 110 and 101 at Northwestern and won his division twice. And they got embarrassed in the Big Ten championship.
That's a guy he's really, really respected. I saw his name up for other jobs, but given what transpired that eventually got him run from Northwestern, some of those schools in their own track records, it was not going to be a fit, and that was a PR nightmare. But Pat Fitzgerald, a heck of a coach, and if Michigan State can get him, great. I've seen other names that have been thrown out there, like a Brian Kelly. Would he be interested? And he had heading up to the north.
It's just interesting that this quickly after the Mel Tucker situation that you would maybe open yourself up to criticism again with your head coach.
Well, yeah, but these are just names that have been thrown out. But yes, Pat Fitzgerald has been prominently thrown out. Pat Narduzzi, Pitt's head coach. Remember him as a defensive coordinator there when they got to a college football playoff?
I would not want to deal. Yeah, let's go hire the coach that says he doesn't care if his team gets blown out by 30 against Notre Dame. Let's go hire that guy.
Matt Campbell's name.
Of course.
Is Matt Campbell still coaching?
Pat, believe it or not, he is at the same school he was at 5 years ago, and his name was still on all of these coaching.
He was just the hottest name ever.
My guy, PJ Fleck at Minnesota.
He must not be happy there. And the reason why is because he has now become like, what's his name in Army? Munkin. It's like every time you turn around, you're seeing his name for a job.
But you never hear like, oh, they're close to hiring PJ Fleck, and he's just floating around kind of out there.
I mean, it's like it was with Dan Mullen.
Well, his name, by the way, is on their hot board.
Oh, on theirs?
Yeah.
Dan Mullen
Michigan State?
Yep. One of the hot boards that was put out. Jason Eck of New Mexico is the other. Chuck Martin, our buddy from Miami of Ohio. Please hire that guy. He is a perfect fit for the Big Ten.
Whatever.
Just grouchy, complaining, he's got that scrunched up nose, face like somebody pooted.
Is Nick Saban on their hot board?
No.
Okay, good.
Will Stein.
I was ready for that.
Will Stein is on their hot board, but maybe only for a little while longer. And then you got Mike Denbrock, Notre Dame offensive coordinator. So here's a short list of 12 names that you can maybe gather there in a collection for our friends at Sparty.
Well, maybe DJ Durkin might have his name in the mix because you notice the question that was asked today at the press conference.
Mm-hmm.
And Alex Golish gave a very politically correct answer, did not say one way or another whether DJ Durkin was going to be a part of that staff. And listen, I said it last week, and I'll continue to say it. I'm all about, if you're going to hire a head coach, you hire a head coach and you give him the tools to work with in regards to who he wants to hire. If he wants to hire DJ Durkin, which to us seems like would be a no-brainer, right? But perhaps, just like with John Sumrall, that maybe philosophies, doesn't mean they don't like each other, but maybe there's a philosophy that just they don't jive together, and that's okay.
And also, let's just call it what it is. I don't know if this is the case, but what if DJ Durkin was led to believe that there was a good shot he was going to have that job? Now, he might not have been led to believe that he was going to have that job, but then turn around and you ask, hey, do you want to go and work for this new guy that we chose over you, ultimately, to come and lead this program? He's younger than you.
It is easy to see where that would upset you.
Yep.
Understandable.
And DJ Durkin's, he's done it a long time. He's done it for a high level a long time. So how does he feel about Alex Golish and those two meeting? I mean, there's two ways you can look at it. They're meeting 3 times already. They're getting really detail-oriented about how that's going to look. Or was it, let's go the other shoe, Golish really begging him or trying to convince him to stay? The reports are that Durkin would receive a pay raise in somewhere of annually getting paid $3 to $3.5 million a year.
It's a nice salary to be a defensive coordinator. I just wonder, I could see there being some Auburn fans that are maybe a little upset if DJ Durkin is not retained because you feel like maybe the reason you lost out on John Sumrall was because of your intent of him keeping DJ Durkin on staff, and now you say, okay, so we lost Sumrall because of that, and now we hired Golish, and we're still not getting to keep. I could just see some people having their feathers ruffled by that.
The option is certainly there, and just based on people that I talked to, Auburn would prefer that DJ Durkin stay, and we're going to try to make everything they do. But you still, if you're going to give the keys to the kingdom and you're going to give a guy a word, your word that you're not going to meddle, and you got to let him decide. Yeah, that seems to be what's happening.
He may decide, hey, it's a perfect fit. Let's go. Keep him on board. But I think the other thing that you need to keep in mind that Auburn is in the midst of the worst football in the history of the program. They won 1 game in the SEC.
Yeah.
So if you continue to do exactly what you've been doing,
insanity.
It is. So you're going to make a change.
Yeah.
Like across the board, because what you've done is not working. 1 win in the SEC. I think overall, Auburn, technically speaking, finished 14th in the SEC in the standings. 14th. They were statistically better than Mississippi State because of their opponents' winning percentage.
Yeah, margin of defeat doesn't matter these days.
No.
There's a lot of games that are close in conferences with good teams playing teams that you might view as mediocre or lower. That's the parity of college football. It's all about wins and losses. That's why in his new contract, Alex Golish, if he wins a 9th game, is going to receive an additional $1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
And if he wins 12 games, he gets an additional almost $5 million.
Yeah. Well, it's an additional 1.5, and then if he wins 10 games, it's a $2 million. You mentioned there's escalators in there. And that's something that I was told back when they tried to get something done with Lane Kiffin a few years ago that they had presented.
And I'm sure he laughed at him.
I don't know if Lane laughed, but I think Jimmy Sexton had some pretty strong words for that contract and that idea.
And I like the contract they laid out for Golish. It's just comical that this is the kind of contract that the Louisiana governor said they were going to give to the LSU coach.
And they didn't.
And they did not.
No.
And Auburn was smart enough, in my opinion, to make this deal for Golish.
Lane's contract is going to be worse than Brian Kelly's contract.
I know, it's hilarious, isn't it?
$13 million. Plus, potentially, you're going to pay out bonuses that he would be set
Like
to receive at Ole Miss.
$73 million guaranteed.
I would have done everything in my power to prevent that from coming out. That is not going to sit well with people in Louisiana. We're paying this coach for what his former team could potentially
I don't know, Conrad.
accomplish.
Have you seen the reaction down there? They're over the moon.
They
are swimming in it.
They're over the moon.
That's great. He loses 2-3 games next year. He'll be on the hot seat, just like Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly came down. He was the greatest thing in the world.
Let's call it right now. Without looking at the schedule, knowing who's on that roster, does Lane Kiffin get to the college football playoff next season at LSU?
No.
That's 4 no's.
Yeah, I'm going to say probably not. If you haven't noticed, he already has posted the date for the LSU Ole Miss game next year on his Instagram story with a popcorn emoji.
Did he put September 19th?
He has, hang on, let me go back to it. He says, it says 2026 matchup LSU at Ole Miss, and then he put spot the ball in a popcorn
When is the
emoji.
I was told this over the weekend, because this has not been released, and someone from the SEC office might be listening right now, because when I have said things before, they have tweeted at me. Remember SEC Media Days? I was told that Ole Miss and LSU will be playing the very first conference game. It'll be September 19th. It'll be the first conference game for both teams in Oxford in 2026.
Make that a night game.
That's beautiful.
Yep. That's
make it a night game for Ole Miss, because Lane Kiffin always complained about not getting night games.
So give him a night
Ole
game.
Miss.
I haven't seen it on social media yet. How long before we get Lane Kiffin photoshopped face on Tiger King or laying with one of the big cats?
It's coming. It's coming.
That
Molly,
might be in his new deal.
today on the three-man front Twitter poll question of the day, we actually posted it immediately after the news came out about Alex Golish. How are the listeners in regards to grading the hire about John Cohen?
Yeah, so of course with the grading, we gave you A, B, C, and then D and F is in one category. And most of the listeners, about 47%, gave him a B. It's really close. So 23.6 gave him an A, but 23.3 gave him a C.
Okay.
And then 6.5 saying D or F.
And the reason I bring that up is because ESPN has just they have just released their grades for the hires, and they gave Auburn a B+ on the hiring of Golish.
Okay.
Never saw it coming. Never had Golish pegged for this job. But again, you can go back. We can play it for you. When we have talked about Alex Golish, we thought that would be a grand slam. I did for Arkansas. Never really thought about the potential at Auburn.
It's interesting. They gave the same grade to Florida for Sumrall.
Yeah.
B+.
I'll totally rip this off. I heard somebody say this yesterday, that they think that an A or an A+ hire these days, that's not realistic. The nature of college football.
You just don't know.
They gave Silverfield a B.
Oh, that's generous.
At Arkansas.
That's more like a C+ hire to me.
Stanford got a C+ for Pritchard. Oklahoma State for Morris got an A-. They really like that hire.
I think it was a good hire.
James Franklin, his hire, an A.
That, honestly, if you're Virginia Tech, I think you kind of sit back and look at everything that happened and you go, man, we did really well for ourselves.
Okay. Maybe an A is possible. If you go from Brent Pry to James Franklin at Virginia Tech.
I think they might have made the best hire of the entire offseason.
Pete Golding, a B for Ole Miss. And, of course, Lane Kiffin, A- for LSU.
So I'm curious quickly just your thoughts on Pete Golding, because just the way that transpired so quickly, him immediately being named the head coach. They had a lot of nice things to say about him. I know a lot of people here remember him as the Alabama DC. And
he's been good. That defense got a lot better when he went there.
It did.
I think if you're Keith Carter, you're trying to retain as much as you can. So at least one side of the ball, and those coaches are going to stay with Pete, I would assume. A guy that played college ball there. I told you I work with a guy who was his college coach at Delta State, and he thinks the world of Pete. He knew Pete as the player, still talks to him from time to time as a coach, but I think Pete certainly understands it. It'll be different the way it looks.
Yeah. Never forget, Nick Saban has told the story numerous times that when he was looking for defensive coordinators and he called Pete Golding up to the dry erase board, he said that he was one of the best
I've heard that
he has ever been around in regards to schematically drawing things up from a defensive perspective.
When this particular coach said, yeah, he's a guy that just understands football and concepts, it comes to him naturally, and said pound for pound, he was the best player he ever coached and the hardest working.
Wow. Good for Pete. I'm happy for him. It's a big opportunity.
Sure is. We will roll on this Reaction Monday. A lot going on. We'd love to hear from you. 1-800-239-WJOX.
.135, three-man front on this Monday. A lot of coaching news. Alex Golish, you heard his press conference. right here on Jocks, being introduced by Auburn Athletics Director John Cohen. A lot of response on that. Also got some news. This being reported by our friends at Football Scoop. Auburn Assistant General Manager Kenyatta Watson is joining Bill O'Brien's staff as its new general manager.
Hey, Boston College got a big win over the weekend.
Best of luck to Mr. Watson.
Okay. Penn State, according to Football Scoop, talks have heated up between Penn State and BYU head coach Kalani Sitake.
Okay. I think that would be
That'd be a good fit.
That would be a good hire.
Does BYU get dinged if he accepts the job, but BYU lets him stay?
Ooh.
They would let him stay.
They're good people out there.
Would BYU?
Well, they're used to having to multitask.
Would Penn State pay his bonuses if he went to Penn State and didn't coach BYU?
Something tells me
Would they pay those incentives?
Don't know if they would do that.
Yeah. The news on Lane Kiffin, the deal in Baton Rouge, 7 years, $91 million. That's a $13 million average automatic escalator that would kick in for winning a national title. But first things first, let's get to a conference championship game. Maybe a college football playoff. Should be interesting. Hey, we do have football coming up tonight from the professional ranks, and it should be a whole lot of fun. Something else that's a lot of fun, it's our friends at Prize Picks. Join millions of users. Sign up today for America's #1 fantasy sports app. It's simple to play. You pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get the picks right, you can cash in. Tonight, we got the Giants taking on the Patriots. Drake May, quarterback for the Patriots, 245.5 passing yards. Does he go more or less? Drake May, 245.5.
I'm going to go. We're going to go more for that. He's been on a hot streak lately. We're going more.
Jackson Dart, I'm sure he's been in a long conversation with Lane Kiffin over the past 3 weeks, advising him since they're running mates. 204.5 passing yards, more or less.
I'm going to go less. Coming back from injury, Patriots defense pretty stuffy. I'll go less.
All right, we'll go more on Drake May, the more than 245.5 passing yards, less on Jackson Dart, the 204.5. We hit on both of those. We're a winner. You can be a winner too. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code WJOX. You get $50 in lineups after you play the first $5 lineup. That's code WJOX. $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right.
So as the private plane that had been, I was told that LSU had 2 private planes that was parked in North Mississippi. They were not in Oxford, which was probably smart. You know, you never know when a security guard somewhere might.
Somebody puts a boot on the wheel.
Yeah, like somebody looks the other way, then all of a sudden somebody gets on the tarmac, you know, just.
Oh, well, people found them because there's videos of Ole Miss fans, watching people get on the plane and booing them as they got on the plane to follow Lane Kiffin to Baton Rouge.
Well, you never forget Gene Chizik when he got the Auburn job, that fun day at the old airport. But anyway, so the planes finally took off. And as the LSU private jet is getting close to landing in Baton Rouge, take a listen to the back and forth between the FAA control tower and the jet.
Charlie 350, Papa Romeo, Baton Rouge Tower, wind 360 at 12, runway 4 left, clear to land. Clear to land 4 left, sir, Papa Romeo. Go Tigers. Hotty toddy.
Whoa, hey.
So the person on the private plane ended the call sign by saying, let's hear it one more time, go Tigers. And then listen to, apparently the air traffic controller was an Ole Miss Rebel fan.
Charlie 350, Papa Romeo, Baton Rouge Tower, wind 360 at 12, runway 4 left, clear to land. Clear to land 4 left, sir, Papa Romeo. Go Tigers. Hotty toddy.
Sorry, we're going to have to
We're diverting
you to
Shreveport.
Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Sorry about that. That's funny.
Oh, college football.
It just means more.
That's right.
It just means more.
You know, going back to this, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss, with how much your family was embedded there, how many relationships, great relationships.
Wait. Hold on. What did you just say?
Embedded. Yes.
You said the family, what? that sentence one more. I want to make sure I heard it properly.
They were embedded. Mm-hmm. All the relationships that they forged there. Landry, she wanted to stay. All of her friends, all of that good stuff. But the way that your dad left, can you ever go back?
No.
No.
And that's a shame.
It's too embedded.
Too embedded.
Tough to get you out when you're embedded like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe embedded in multiple places at the same time. That's tough.
Can't wait for the stories.
It was nice to see he found a hot yoga studio this morning in Baton Rouge. So
Well, he's got to get his workout
keep his
in.
routine going.
Do you think the Oxford studio that he typically did his hot yoga, did they transition today to rage yoga?
Rage yoga.
That's a real thing.
I
said that if
think
I
that
ever
would be
did
good.
yoga, it would be the baby goats walking on your back, or it would be rage, where you just scream. Apparently, I think some places offer alcohol, and then loud music.
Isn't that like the rooms you can rent out where you just go and break stuff? They give you like a sledgehammer and you just
similar.
go in there.
Mhm.
That's kind of what I would do. But yeah, rage yoga, that could be good. That's like a 6 a.m. scream.
I guess the part that's so funny to me is how everyone at LSU, talking about the people that cover them, how they always wanted to prop up Brian Kelly as the greatest thing in the world and took shots at Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
And now they're having
And
to.
now Lane Kiffin is 1,000 times better than Brian Kelly. And we all know how that, I mean, coaches are hired to be fired. And these guys will turn on him as quickly as possible if this does not go as planned. And listen, they thought Brian Kelly was it. Like, we have upgraded immensely over the last two clowns we had at LSU.
Well, and not even, are you talking about a program that this year thought they should be in the playoff? They thought they were going to win the national championship. Like, not only did they think, oh, yeah, we'll be in the
Conrad,
conversation.
you were there.
I know.
You were
they
there.
wouldn't stop
in
talking about it.
Atlanta. Oh,
I
my
know.
gosh.
It was the LSU Love Fest.
Oh, it was disgusting.
I know.
Like, we're having conversations with people, and they say, well, how y'all going to vote? And I go, well, maybe fourth, fifth.
I remember the looks we got from people. Oh, so where do you have Alabama? Second? Really? Look where they are right now. And
yeah.
everyone was talking about how LSU, you don't have LSU number 1 or number 2 right behind Texas? No.
I mean, listen, J.D. Piquel, I love J.D.'s work. Does a great job at On 3. He was our next door neighbor all week long in Atlanta. He kept singing the praises.
No, he was drinking the Kool-Aid.
But I think the reason why he was drinking the Kool-Aid is because you know who his neighbor was on the other side.
Oh, I know.
It was Matt Moscona.
I know.
So forget about the fact that LSU paid over $20 million for a bunch of mercenaries and didn't win jack.
They're supposed to be competing for a championship.
Now it's going to be better.
That was way better.
Garrett Nussmeier was going to be in New York. I'll never forget that. I mean, Landrum and I, we waited to the very last minute to cast our vote. And like we were I remember, I'll never forget, like we were having a conversation with, what was the young lady from Texas A&M, from Texags?
Nostradamus, apparently. I don't know. I can't remember her name.
'Cause-
She was
'cause
from Texags.
Because Landrum and I were like,
Well, there had been no buzz. Nobody was saying anything about Texas.
yeah, so we asked, we just asked her, we said, hey, just, if you don't mind, just, what do you think?
I said, do you see this as an eight-win team? She said, maybe at best.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. But meanwhile, you had the whole contingent of folks that was LSU is going to absolutely be back here in Atlanta in first week of December.
Be honest, they did a pretty good sell job on us once some of them started really touting that. What was it, $19 million at least that they had
At least.
put towards just the transfer portal
And
roster.
Garrett Nussmeier is back. And the reason why Alabama's not going to be there is because Ty Simpson is unproven. And yeah.
And what do you know? It's Alabama and Georgia.
That's the thing. I mean, it's just
It's like, why would you bet against it until you see? I mean,
but Lane Kiffin's going to change all that. Let's get ready.
it's going to be better, way better.
Who's his quarterback going to be?
And I also want to point this out. I know everyone thinks I'm an Ole Miss walking billboard, and I'm not.
Now that Lane's gone, you're not.
Look at who did they beat this year?
LSU.
Okay.
Are we talking about Ole Miss? I mean,
Yeah.
your best win's Oklahoma,
They beat Tulane.
which is a good win.
That was. I'm waiting for you to tell me the other
No, I
ones.
know. No, that's it.
Their schedule was very Missouri-like in regards to not having to play a lot of games on the road. And when you don't play the likes of Alabama,
Well, and to be fair, now I'm not saying that Lane hasn't won any meaningful games,
Texas
but
A&M,
that stat that was
Texas.
thrown out by our guy in Missouri on radio, and it was pointing out Eli Drinkwitz and his record in the SEC against teams that finished with a 500 or better record. Ole Miss didn't have the sample size either.
I will be curious starting tomorrow night
I think they were 4-10 in those games.
to see if there's any college football playoff blowback. Ole Miss is 7th in rated offense efficiency. They won't have its head coach. It won't have its OC. It won't have its co-OC. Won't have its wide receivers coach. The new head coach is a defensive coordinator who's got the lowest rated defense efficiency at number 52 in the college football rankings right now.
But if they do something, they better do it tomorrow
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
not wait until the final show on Sunday, because that's something that they would do. But if you're going to ding them for it, you have to ding them for it now. You can't say, well, between now and Sunday, we'll reevaluate.
Could
No.
you imagine how pissed off Ole Miss people are going to be tomorrow night if Hunter Yurachek points all that out I just said? Like, hey, listen, Ole Miss went from this to this because they don't have their head coach. They don't have their OC. They don't have their co-OC. You don't have your wide receivers coach. And your defensive coordinator is now your head coach.
Maybe that's why LSU agreed to pay the bonus, because they know they're not going to have to pay it.
Yeah. Now, if they don't do anything at all, I think I think they're good.
And I will say this, I absolutely think they deserve to make the playoff, even with Lane Kiffin being gone.
Yes, I agree.
They should not be. If you want to ding them a spot or two, fine, but
Who does Lane
They should
bring
still
in,
be in.
or not Lane? Who does Golding bring in to be OC? Bring back Derek Nix?
Tommy Reese.
I thought about Tommy Reese.
I don't know.
It'd be interesting.
What's Bo Wallace doing?
Life after Lane. What's
Bo Wallace and
doing?
Chad Kelly, they can be co-OCs together.
I've got the perfect answer.
Tony Franklin.
This is a no-brainer. Come on. Hugh Freeze.
Well, I thought about Hugh.
Come on. Everybody's forgiven everybody. They're like, you know what? What Hugh did, this is like nothing compared to what Lane Kiffin just did to us. I could have used a SEC mic line, but I'm not.
No. SEC Shorts was good this week.
All right, we will continue on. This is a Reaction Monday right here on Jocks. Hey, Monday reminder, tomorrow we'll be live at Social Taco. Hopefully you'll join us there from 10 until 2. The doors technically open up at 11, but we'll be there starting at 10.
Well, you don't want to get caught in the cold, so schedule your system checkup now from a Train Comfort Specialist. Train has been recognized for 11 consecutive years as America's most trusted HVAC brand and our exclusive home comfort partners here at Jock. So go and visit Train.com to find a comfort specialist near you.
There was no Kalen DeBoer presser today because he met with the media last night for the SEC championship game. Next time you'll hear from Kalen DeBoer will be on Wednesday. Let's try to grab a couple more calls before we get out of here. 1-800-239-WJOX.
Let's go to Jerry, who's been waiting patiently. Hey, Jerry. Jerry?
Hey guys, happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Hey, so just want to talk about a little bit about Alabama football. So I've been talking to my guys, my friend about, especially about Ty Simpson. If y'all remember correctly, like last year with Ohio State, Will Howard, the quarterback they had, he knew his role. He played his role very perfectly. And I've said it many times this year with Ty Simpson. I feel like that's where he at as far as his role being the point guard of the offense, to be honestly. Doesn't have to do too much, inserts himself, does what he needs to do to get the game done. And how do y'all feel about that?
Yeah, unfortunately for Ty, now he took care of the ball better against Auburn because he had run into a kind of a bad streak there where he was turning the ball over at a good clip. But the way that you utilize that analogy with it being a point guard and distributing the ball properly, for whatever reason, maybe it's because they've put more pressure on him. I'm not talking about the coaches. I'm talking about the defense. It just doesn't seem like he's been as sharp because they've left some points on the board the last couple of games, including the Oklahoma loss and the Auburn win, where you did not see that at the beginning of the season.
Let me ask you this, too, as well. Do y'all think possibly in the SEC championship game that the running game finally comes alive to where it looked like it started to come alive against Auburn, but now Jam Miller's out. Now you just got Deere and you got
Daniel
Hill, too, also as well.
Yeah, and you just wonder about Daniel Hill's
Thanks,
health,
Jerry.
Because Daniel Hill got banged up a little bit in that game.
Yeah, I know DeBoer talked a little bit about Dre Washington yesterday doing his teleconference for the SEC championships. Yeah, I think that's somebody that's going to be in the mix. But you saw they put A.K. Deere in for that screen pass. You could tell they were trying to maybe get him the opportunity with the ball in his hands. So some young guys got to step up.
Dr. Mel, before we close it.
Hey, guys. How are you all this Monday?
Doing well, Dr.
Hey, Dr.
Mel.
Mel. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I pray that you guys had a great Thanksgiving also. Just a quick question. You know, I'm confused, and of course, it's been a three-ring circus for weeks, the Lane Kiffin debacle. But, you know, I'm a Bama alum, and you know, I pull for Auburn when we're not playing Bama. But here's the deal. I heard on several occasions that the Auburn AD had spoken with Summerall. They had actually talked with him a couple of times, and then boom, you know, this here just goes away. And I'm thinking, you know, they should have wrapped it up. Summerall is a great coach, and I think between Troy and Tulane, he's won probably close, I know, over 40 games, and he's as solid as all get out. So I wanted to know you all's thought and as to what exactly transpired